Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. And before we start the conversation, if you would like to support the podcast, please go to convome.com/support and you can buy me a coffee or two. All proceeds go to supporting the podcast and keeping it as a free resource to you. And now, on to our conversation. My guest this week is Alyssa Rivera. She's a product manager at Gelato. And if you've never heard of Gelato, no, I'm not talking about the Italian dessert. This is going to be a very informative conversation about print on demand. And if you've been around Etsy the last couple of years, or YouTube trying to learn about Etsy the last couple of years, you've probably heard of print on demand. You might not know what it's all about, but that's what we're going to talk about today. Alyssa, thank you for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
Now, Alyssa, you're a product manager at Gelato. Can you tell us, first of all, what is Gelato?
Sure, yes. Gelato is a production on demand company. So maybe I'll just explain what that means. So today, you can have entrepreneurs that have great ideas, and we've seen platforms like Etsy that make it really easy for anyone to open and run an e-commerce store and connect with customers all over the world. We've seen companies like Stripe and Adyen who have made it easy to automate payments, but we've seen that there was a need to produce those products and get it to the end customers. While there's a lot of really great ways to do that, print on demand or production on demand is one of those ways. What that means is that, we take care of the production and distribution process of your items, so you don't have to worry about inventory or manually packing and shipping your orders. And it also means that entrepreneurs can take less financial risk because they don't have to make any upfront payments and produce only what is sold. So what Gelato does is we've built a production network that spans the entire globe. So we've taken that concept of production on demand one step further by making it possible for any person in the world to produce locally to their end customers. As mentioned, we have this global network of local production partners with really the most advanced machinery and capacity out there. And we've obsessed over creating easy to use software to connect these parts of the supply chain so that a person who is sitting in Montana for example, can sell to clients in Southeast Asia, or a company in New York can sell to a client in New Zealand, and they can all know that the item that's been bought by that end customer is being produced locally and with the same consistent high quality globally.
Wow, thank you. I like how you distinguish between print on demand versus production on demand. And I think sellers who are familiar with print on demand this might be kind of a revelation when you refer to what Gelato does as production versus just prints, because I think traditionally in POD, the first thing that comes to people's mind is just printing something on a t-shirt or printing something on a mug. But what you do is more than just that. There is a whole system and process that goes into taking the idea and what a seller creates from inception in that person's mind to the final product in the seller's hands. Am I interpreting this correctly?
Yes, absolutely. I think that when we think print on demand, people might think of a fairly limited set of products. But what we are really trying to do is rethink the way that we produce in general. So today, someone can connect to Gelato and produce t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, books, wall art, canvas, and of course your paper products like greeting cards and calendars. But the future is really quite open in terms of what we'll be able to achieve with a local production network. We can really take it into really interesting areas in the future.
Yeah, I like that. Now, let's talk to a brand new seller on Etsy.
Mhm.
As we On the day we're recording this, a week ago, there was the Etsy Up conference where the president slash CEO of Etsy um, talked about the future and the vision that he has for Etsy. And one of the things that I picked up on was he was talking about um, expanding the platform. Etsy is doing a big push to not only attract more buyers with showing more ads on TV, but also attracting more sellers, more creative people to come and start their businesses on Etsy. So now let's talk to that person who is hearing this message from Etsy saying, "Hey, you have a talent and we have a place for you to earn money from this talent and this skill that you have." How can Gelato help that new seller find a place in the marketplace and be able to um, create a business that is sustainable?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's really interesting, also the direction that Etsy is looking to go. So yeah, I think there's a few different elements here. So um, first of all, we've created this production and delivery platform to really enable anyone sitting anywhere to reach over 5 billion people with local production and distribution. And, we also have that sort of two-sided relationship in the sense that we're thinking more than ever about sustainability, supporting local business. And what I
Mhm.
love about it is that we're empowering the creators and entrepreneurs that you're talking about, but we're also empowering the production partners in the local communities for the end customers. So I
Mm.
really like that kind of two-sided view of the platform because it's also true to our business model. Um, but yeah, I can talk a little bit to how we can help that creator who's listening to this podcast to get started on gelato, not only by reaching those 5 billion people, but what we can do in addition to that. So one thing that I think is helpful is that when you're starting a business or trying to grow a business, there's a lot of things that you have to think about. And what I in my experience, most merchants really appreciate the time to focus on the creation, the sales, and the marketing,
Yeah.
which, you know, and taking away the work of managing inventory, manufacturing, shipping.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and also trying to figure out software can be pretty complicated as well. So, an example of how we can help someone that's just getting started and to help sellers to expand their businesses on Etsy is that we have a design editor and design features on our platform. These features include, for example, millions of images in a stock image library, hundreds of graphics that allow creators to experiment with as many products and designs as they would like to see what designs work for them. We often hear, how many designs do you need on Etsy to reach a
Mhm.
certain number of sales? So it's something that lets you experiment pretty freely. We also give you software to create premium looking mockups to really create some beautiful images of your products. So one part of being a creator is also to create a professional way of presenting your products.
Yeah.
So these mockups look really professional, but they're done at the click of a button. You don't need any design or engineering skills to use them. I am not a engineer myself, so I can speak to how easy this is and how good the mockups look at the end. And we can talk about this later, but we also allow end customers access to a white label editor, which allows them to personalize products in real time. And then we automate the fulfillment process for you afterwards. So that kind of goes back to taking away that work of managing inventory, manufacturing, and shipping that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That's all automated for you, so you can really focus on that creation, sales, and marketing bit.
I like that because there so many points you touched on, and I was furiously making notes just so I make sure I come back to them. The first one is, and even though you didn't use this particular term, I think it applies here in that it sounds like one thing that Gelato does help creative businesses do is have a passive a passive aspect to their business, and passive in that we're able to set something up. We create our design. We figure out what products we want to make with this design that we've created, and after everything is all set up, it becomes passive in the sense that when a sale is made, our production partner Gelato takes over. You handle the physical creation of the product from this design that we have made, and the shipping. So in a sense, Gelato is a partner in this passive income model of running one's Etsy based business. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The other thing was personalization, which, and I'm going to refer back to the conference last week and the keynote speech from the president or CEO. I actually don't know what his title is. It's president or CEO or president/CEO. I don't know. The head guy at Etsy. And
Person,
he
yeah.
yeah, he also specified personalization being a good way of making one's business or one's shop distinct from the competition. And we know that people, especially when they're looking for gifts for loved ones and friends and what have you, look for that thing that makes that particular product different. Because yes, you can buy, an item of clothing or jewelry or what have you, but what makes it special to the recipient is if it's personalized. Can we talk a bit more about how Gelato makes personalization easier for
Mhm.
sellers who want to offer it? You mentioned software or something.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel personalization is a big trend, and we've
Mhm.
seen that it is a big trend. Part of our business model is really to produce what you want, where you want, and when you want it. And the power of having production on demand means that we can really personalize each product to that particular order. But what we've seen, obviously, is that you need to create the tools to allow that to be scalable. And that's what we've started to do. So we're on a journey. So I always like to say that we are learning and improving. So we've put out some um, software and tools that I'll explain now.
Mhm.
But I would love, afterwards when any one of the listeners try this, they can reach out to me personally and give me their feedback, or I'm happy to walk people through the software as well. Hopefully it's easy enough that that's not necessary, but
Yeah.
like we're always here to learn and to improve our products.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Alyssa, right before you talk about the software, just one thing. To anyone, to whoever is listening that wants to quickly jump over and take a look at this right now, if you go to convobi.com/gelato, you will be able to get into the system and take a look at it, take it for a test drive. And what Alyssa is about to explain will make more sense. So if you want to do that while you're listening, go to convomi.com/gelato. All right, Alyssa, sorry, please go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. And what you said just triggered a thought in my head. just before I get to the personalization tool itself, I might touch on the software that makes it easy for any Etsy seller in particular to tap into our local production network.
Okay.
So if you have an Etsy store, if you're thinking of creating an Etsy store, all you have to do is sign up to Gelato. We then give you the option to basically connect your store to Gelato with the click of a button. I've done it myself. And like I mentioned earlier, I am not an engineer. So I can attest that it's very, very easy.
Yeah.
And you can connect products that you already have on your store, or you don't have to. I mean, if you're, for example, producing some items yourself and you want to experiment with print on demand, you can connect some or none of your products. You can then experiment with our design editor and set up products that you connect to Gelato for fulfillment. So it's very flexible.
Mm,
But basically, the integration is done with a click of a button. So you don't have to be worried that it's technically difficult or anything like that.
okay.
Um, yeah, so then personalization in particular is, as I mentioned, a trend that we've seen really resonate with people. Um, when you offer personalization, what we've seen with the merchants that are currently selling in this model is that they tend to get a higher conversion rate. People are, they become sort of in love with the products that they can really relate to, that carries their name, that has a special date, that has a photo of themselves or their loved ones. And then on the other side of that, for the person creating this product, it's a very special thing to be able to give something that's personalized, something that really means something to you, to the person you love, to the person that you're gifting this to.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to create ways to make that easier. What we noticed was that in the model today, when people are making personalized goods, um, they often collect some information from their end customers, such as names, could be photos. They have to ask for some sort of information from their end customer.
Mm-hmm.
They then receive that information. They would then have to create that on the platform and then place the order. So there's quite a lot of manual work involved, which is okay if you're small, but if you're looking to scale or you're busy, you have another job, maybe you have kids, you might not want to be spending your time on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we released a product personalization tool that's part of our subscription that's called Gelato Plus. And we recently released updates to this tool that's specifically for Etsy. So
Oh,
what you
wow.
yeah, we love our Etsy sellers, so we're trying to create more and more tools for them. So what this does is that you can set up a template on Etsy, which your customer then buys on the Etsy platform. From there, our system will trigger a white label email to your end customer. When they click on the email, a white label editor will then pop up with the product that your customer bought. So if it's a t-shirt, it's a t-shirt. If it's a mug, it's a mug, and it'll have your template on it. Your customer can then personalize the product in real time, meaning that if they're entering, for example, a special name or uploading a photo, they'll see that happen in real time.
Mm,
So they kind of get real time feedback on what their product is looking like. And then when they finish the personalization, the order is then sent automatically for fulfillment, which means that when you made the sale, your work was done.
hmm.
Uh, we will, of course, keep you as the seller in the loop if a customer has not interacted with this email or finished their personalization after a few days. We'll send them a reminder, but after a couple of reminders, we'll just let you know so you can follow up with them.
Yeah.
But essentially, we've automated that whole process. And if you're someone who, wants a little bit more control and wants to be communicating to your customer directly, we can also do that exact same process, but instead of triggering the email automatically, we'll just give you a link. So you can drop that to your customer in a message or in an email, and then it'll be the same process. They then click on the link, they get the white label editor, they can personalize the product in real time. When they're done, everything's sent to us for fulfillment. So again, your work's kind of done once you've sent that link out. And which which is really nice with gelato, is then that item is produced very close to your end customer,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes in their same country. So they get it quickly and you get to save on time. And something we can probably touch on later is it's also done in a much more sustainable way. So that's one of the ways that we're enabling Etsy sellers to use personalization in a scalable way.
Alyssa, my mind is literally blown right now. I know I don't sound like it. I sound calm, but as you were explaining it more, the possibilities were swirling around in my mind. Now, sellers who are in the printables niches will be familiar kind of with what you've explained, but for print on demand sellers, those who are already doing it, or for those who are thinking about getting into print on demand, this is actually quite revolutionary because for anyone who doesn't know, let me explain what Alyssa just explained Gelato does saves you time. Before, and I know because this is the system I do. When I get a custom order, I will go into my graphic design tool of choice, which right now is Canva, and I will update the design, customize the design for my buyer, then re-upload the customized design to my print on demand production partner, and then release it to be produced and then shipped to them. So after I make a sale, I still have more work to do before the end product gets to my buyer. But what Gelato has created, this software, do you have a name for this tool?
Yeah, we call it the product personalization tool.
Thank you. The product personalization tool basically takes me out of that extra step of doing the customization, because then the customer actually does that part themselves, which I think is fantastic, because then they can make it look exactly the way they want to. They can go in there, they can see it before they they get it, which actually in reality does save at least 2 or 3 steps, because sometimes I have to go back and forth with my buyer to say, does it look fine? Like you get 2 revisions or 3 revisions before the final product. But now that they're empowered to do this themselves, it frees me up. It makes this an even more passive model after, of course, all the upfront work is done. Did I explain how this tool um, basically helps to what's the word, to make selling easier for Etsy sellers and maybe even help them scale faster?
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Okay.
think the point also about, the check-in with that customer to make sure that the product looks the way that you'd like is a good one. Because when we walked through the process of creating personalized products with hundreds of merchants,
Mm-hmm.
custom products, we noted that as one of the friction points.
Yeah.
You might you might have had an experience where you went back to a customer and you wanted to ask them, does this look okay?
Yeah.
And they kind of ghost you, or, they're
Oh,
slow to respond.
yes.
So, the process is also elongated by
Yes.
having to follow up. And, it can just become a little bit difficult to manage. And, we've
Yeah.
got holidays coming up. So, what
Yeah.
we've noticed with our merchants is that up to 60% of the revenue is basically generated within 6 to 8 weeks. So it's an extremely intense time. So if you've
Mm-hmm.
got multiple processes open with multiple customers, it can start getting to be a lot to manage.
Yeah.
So like you said, we love to empower that end customer to create that product themselves. It's a fun process. They can see what it looks like, and then your job is done.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. You did a great job in describing that.
Oh, great. Thank you. And also, um internally within the Etsy ecosystem, because now we're, as sellers, we're graded on multiple touch points in our whole, in the whole process of servicing our customer. And one of them is how quickly we respond to them, but also how long our turnaround times are. And and for those who, especially during the Q4, that busy selling season, Etsy tracks how you're keeping up with your orders. And if you're, let's say you put in a production time of 5 days and you have 10 orders all in the process of being fulfilled, and then Etsy calculates and says, okay, wait, so basically you need 50 days. Well, we can't let you take more orders because that's just going to extend the wait time for new people who buy from you. And so what they do is they will like kind of block your store in a way. I don't know how else to describe it. And this is not fiction. This happened to me last Christmas because I had a lot of orders. They thought it's their way of trying to help you stay on top of your orders. But in reality, I was like, I don't need your help. I can handle it. Let my orders come through. But
Yeah,
you don't have
absolutely.
control over that. But with this, because the customer is, moving that right along on their own, I envision that it will actually be beneficial in multiple ways for sellers because that's less of a bottleneck for you. So less chances that Etsy will try and relieve you of, getting too backed up with orders.
Yeah, I mean, speed is the name of the game when it comes to the holidays. I think
Yeah.
anything you can do to sort of simplify your workflow. And what we've seen as well is that um, a lot of the happy Etsy reviews in particular that I've read really refers to the sort of surprisingly fast turnaround times that
Mm-hmm.
we're able to achieve with this combination of software, which enables the customer to, at their pace, do the personalization part, and
Mm-hmm.
then the local production, which really cuts delivery times, which means that within oftentimes 72 hours the package is at the door of the customer. So it's just yeah, we've
Wow.
seen a lot of really good feedback, especially I like going to some of our merchants and reading their reviews, and I've noticed that speed in particular is one thing that pops
Yes.
up with these happy customers.
Yes. I got a review yesterday or the day before, and all the person said was super fast delivery. That was the entire review.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like, oh wow, okay, that's of all the things, but that's good because that signals other buyers that okay, I'm going to get it when I want it. And you're right, getting things quickly or on time is such a big deal for our buyers. On average, what do you think, or what do you say is the average production time from when a customer buys a product with or without personalization to when you have it out and on the way to them? Because I know you can't control, what happens when it's in the hands of the courier,
Mhm.
but as far as getting it into the hands of the courier from the time the order comes through, about how long is that period?
It depends a little bit on the product that's being produced. Some have, for example, some books have some drying time that is required to make them good quality.
Okay.
But in general, we try to get the product to the customer within 72 hours. And that's one thing that I would say really sets Gelato apart because we're able to really use the power of those production partners that are sitting in the
Mm,
communities of the end customer
yeah.
to drastically cut down the delivery time and the transportation distances of the final product.
Okay. So just to reiterate, I'm based in the US. If I make a sale to someone in Latvia, there
Mhm,
is a local production partner somewhere in that area that will
mhm.
handle the production and and the local shipping partner that will send it to them. So it gets to them quickly. I'm not waiting for it to be shipped out from a a production facility here in the US.
Exactly. So you're in the US and say you sold to me. I'm currently in Norway. Norway is a country where I would also have to pay taxes or customs on a package coming in from the US, which I can tell you is also
Oh.
not that fun during the holidays when you're lining up at the post office and there's tons of people there and you just want to get your package. So, what would happen then is that there's a local producer here in Norway that would create the product that I've ordered and then send it to me, and I would have it probably within 72 hours.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, exactly. You can be sitting in the US and sell essentially anywhere in the world, and we can reach, 5 billion people with this local production network.
I love that. And also that helps to just diminish the our carbon footprints and just,
Yeah.
cut down on emissions from, even if it's just in a small way from our business, it's doing something.
Yeah, we like to we like to show the ability and empower you and all the Etsy sellers to have this ability to really scale your business
Mhm.
beyond the kitchen table, is the phrase that we use in a
Yeah.
more sustainable way. Because, like you said, when we produce locally, we do massively reduce those transportation distances of
Yeah.
the items that are produced. For merchants in our network, we have seen reductions of around 60 to 90% of those transportation distances,
Mm.
which is obviously great for the end customer because it gets there fast, but it also really cuts down on the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Um, and also sort of on that same note, that when you do produce on demand, it's being produced when you want it and when you want it, so we don't have as much waste, right? We don't have
Yeah.
to have stockpiles of, for example, t-shirts that maybe it's a design that doesn't sell,
Hmm.
and then you're stuck with a lot of inventory. So we're able to also cut down on wastage that
Yeah.
way.
I
And
like
for
that.
customers who are sustainably minded as well, one thing that I'll just note is that we have a growing catalog of eco-friendly products. So this is something that a lot of the merchants have been loving too. Um, Expanding that portfolio to meet the demands of sort of their eco-conscious shoppers helps them to
Mm.
also tap into different uh, potential buyers too.
Yeah. Oh yes, I know that some people have built their stores just based on strictly selling only eco-friendly products because there are some buyers that will only buy eco-friendly, and so to have that option in a production partner is also just wonderful. One of the things that you mentioned when you were describing the production personalization software was that
Mhm.
it's part of Gelato Plus. Can you explain what the different levels are and when you think is a good time to go from regular gelato, I guess, to plus?
Yeah. So Gelato Plus, we have two different levels of subscription right now. And Gelato Plus is the first level of subscription. So, of course, we have Gelato Free that gives sellers access to the local production in 33 countries. You can integrate from your shop, from Etsy, but also other e-commerce um, platforms such as Shopify, WooCommerce, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you access to the design editor that I mentioned. So, free is great. But with Gelato Plus, we're really giving you the tools to scale even faster. So,
Mm.
um, what that gives you is, first of all, will help you to reduce your costs. Everyone who is signing up for Gelato Plus right now is receiving 30% off their shipping. So standard shipping.
Mm.
So that's one way for them to reinvest into their business. Um, this it's priced at, currently it's $14.99 a month, which means that any business that's making around, even 5 sales a month will benefit from the shipping. It'll sort of pay for itself at
Mm-hmm.
that point. But it also has, actually, most of our customers who have Gelato Plus are pre sales, because it also has tons of features that just help you out to scale your business more quickly. So one of the features that's part of Gelato Plus is what I mentioned, the product personalization software,
Mm-hmm.
which has been very popular. So it really saves you so much time, and gives you that option to empower your customers to do their own personalization. We've also included over 800 premium apparel and wall art mockups, which are
Mm.
just gorgeous. And like I said before, can be done with a click of a button. So you can really put your designs on a very diverse set of people, for example, for apparel.
Oh,
You
nice.
can also um, put it in different sorts of rooms, give them different looks and feels.
Yeah.
We've also included some really cool design tools. We have included free graphics. I mentioned the stock images, so you get unlimited access to the basic Shutterstock images and basic Getty Images visual assets. So you can really experiment very freely, um, creating products and getting them out there. And then finally, we have, in addition to a few other things, we have things like premium fonts. So it's really kind of a powerhouse
Hmm.
to experiment and create, and to get some new products out there, and also to save on shipping. Um, so then what we have after that is for our customers who are sort of making around more like 50 orders a month. So businesses that have grown a little bit, they found that flow, they're consistently selling. We have what we call Gelato Plus Gold. So that gives you everything that's in Gelato Plus. And as a promotion right now, when merchants sign up for Gelato Plus Gold, we will give them 30 days of free global shipping, which
Mm.
can be a massive savings.
Yeah.
We've had customers really saving a lot of money, and we see that as an investment into these businesses. Um, Once they hit 50 orders a month, they also get an additional 20% off shipping. So they get a 50% savings after that 50th order, which can be also, again, a very big savings, 50%
Mm.
off shipping.
Yeah.
Another big perk to Gelato Plus Gold is that those customers will get early access and exclusive discounts on products that are coming to the market. So one example of that I'm really excited to share is that we are starting to launch what we call branded packaging. So today, packaging that you send out from most print on demand is white label, which means that your product, your company's name is going to be on that package, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a frequent question that I get is, will my customers know that I'm buying from Gelato? The answer is no. So even if you're a free
Mm.
customer, it's going to have your company's name on the package.
Okay.
Um, but we want to take that a step further and allow you to give customers that branded experience. We know how important it is to establish that brand top of mind with your customers. So we're starting with specific products in a few markets. We're going to allow inserts. So you'll be able to put in sort of a beautiful postcard. You can design something that
Oh,
looks great.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited about this. And then also a sticker that you can put on or that we will put on the packaging rather, that goes out to your customers. So that's it. That is going to be available to Gelato Plus and Gelato Plus Gold. But what's cool for the Gold customers is that they were invited to be beta customers for this. So they've already actually been able to test it, get samples,
Mm-hmm.
and give us feedback on the development of that product. So that's, I think, one really cool perk and something that we really enjoy working with our customers, both Gelato Plus Gold, and of course, all of our customers. We're always open to get feedback.
Yeah.
Um, One more thing that I'll just mention on Gelato Plus Gold is that if you are thinking of coming over from another supplier, it can be a lot of work to move your products over to another
Mm-hmm.
platform,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Christmas coming up. So all Gelato Plus Gold customers will get totally dedicated support to transfer products over to Gelato. So those are just a few of the services and perks from the different levels of subscription.
What's the subscription fee for Gelato Plus Gold?
So currently it's $999 a
Okay.
year.
All right.
We are looking to add a monthly option to that so that you can tap into some of those benefits without having to put up as big of an upfront payment.
Yeah. It sounds like the the developers of this these subscription plans read the minds of Etsy sellers, because right now that's like sellers who have taken their branding to another level are doing these types of things that you mentioned, including the postcards, the stickers that are, branded for their businesses, because these little reminders, when buyers get them, they're able to hold on to these things, put them somewhere so that they can reorder. And it just makes the buying experience just feel a bit more luxurious, if you will, to have all
Yeah.
these little extra amenities. And yes, I know if you're listening to this and you're just getting into Etsy, you're starting your store, you're beginning your print on demand journey, maybe Plus Gold is not the level for you right now, but you can still access the back end production support for your business on a free Gelato plan. You
Mhm.
can still start your business on there. You can start working on your designs and putting them on products, and partner with a production partner that can still offer you everything else we talked about before we went into the specifics of the different subscription levels.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of people extremely successful in that free plan. We believe that we can add more and more software value. So it's really up to the seller and what level they're at and what they need at that time. I'm sure we can find, the best place for them within the gelato options.
Yeah. And if you want to give gelato a try, Alyssa and the team at Gelato are actually offering a promo code 50% off your first order if you use the promo code, or when you use the promo code Etsy Convo. So go to convome.com/gelato, sign up. You can start with the free plan if you would like, and then use the promo code Etsy Convo when you place your first order to get 50% off whatever it is that you're placing that order. And thank you, Alyssa, for and the team at Gelato for providing this to the listeners of this podcast, so they can give Gelato a try and see just how it can fit into their um, business systems and business setup.
Yeah, it's absolutely our pleasure. We hope that the sellers enjoy their experience, and we're excited to hear their feedback as well.
What's the best way that folks can get in touch, or if they need support or help along the way, just getting set up with Gelato and just figuring things out? What kind of support does Gelato offer, and how can folks get access to that support?
We have an amazing customer support team. One thing that I'm proud of when I see the reviews of Gelato is how often the customer support team is mentioned. They're they're a fantastic group of folks. So they're available to sellers 24/7. We Once you sign into the platform, we have 24-hour chat available to you,
Ah,
as well as email support. So anytime you need help, you can reach a friendly voice, and they'll do their very best to support you in whatever you need.
24/7?
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
my goodness, that's wonderful. We don't even get that from Etsy.
Oh, well, we really love our customers and
Yeah.
we really want to do our best to help them. And like I said, the folks of our customer support are just fantastic. So they're there if you need them.
Yeah.
You can also, I just wanted to also say that as a product manager, I think it's really important for me as I work with our teams to build this software that we've described.
Hmm.
We always love to hear feedback from the customers. So I'm always happy to also get any feedback directly to myself. So I'm happy to get emails at Alyssa, Alyssa, at gelato.com.
Wonderful. And I will put that also in the show notes for this episode. So if you're driving while you're listening to this, just go to
Yeah,
convome.com and you will see Alyssa's contact information as well as the links to sign up for Gelato and the promo code as well. Um Alyssa, this all sounds good. And I will confess, I like to be honest and upfront. I currently don't use Gelato, but after having this conversation, I am going to sign up for an account so I can try it for myself. So I can come back on the podcast and say, hey, you guys, I tried it. This is my experience. And I anticipate it's going to be a good one, actually.
great. I'm so excited to hear what you think. And, we're on a journey, like I said before. So we always come to these conversations and to any situation with this idea that there's so much we can learn.
Yeah.
So that's why we are just super open to customer feedback. And I'm really, really excited to hear what you think about it. And I'm sure you'll have areas where we can improve, and we'll work to do that always.
Thank you. What's on the horizon for Gelato? What's coming up next?
Well, there's a lot coming up. We look at the world around us, and I think we just see that centralized production doesn't make sense anymore. We really want
Mm,
to continue to democratize production and to continue on our mission to create local production. So we've been really focusing on opening more and more production hubs in different countries around the world. So one thing that we're really focusing on is making the production more and more local.
mm,
So customers will come in, sellers will have access to a global network that's already very, very impressive, but that will continue to grow. So they will
mm.
start to be on this journey with us as well. We're also, sustainability is at the heart of what we do as well.
Yeah.
So we're really looking into how we can create more tools for sellers to be able to communicate and understand their sustainability impact and impact on the environment. So there'll be some interesting software coming up around sustainability. So I would say keep your eyes
Mm.
out for that. So I'll leave that one on a bit of a cliffhanger, but um, we're really looking to massively improve sort of the information that you as a seller get on your impact and continue to improve that. Yeah, and this, we're continuing to add more products. We're looking to, in particular, add more eco-friendly products, and the future is very. We're really ambitious, so the future holds a lot, and we're looking forward to just continuing on our mission of creating the biggest local production network and really empowering as many creators as possible to tap into that and to meet their dreams of being able to produce what they love, to do what they like to
Yeah.
do, create income for themselves, and that's what we're really focused on in the future.
Yeah. I love it. And I'm looking forward to now being a part of this journey after having this conversation with you. And folks like to keep me accountable. So now that I've said it, I have to do it. But I look forward to taking Gelato for a test drive, and I shouldn't just call it a test drive because that implies I'm going to try it out and then move on, but actually, incorporating it into my own print on demand business. And this has just been a very eye-opening and just a really nice conversation. I've really loved learning about what Gelato is doing, what you have to offer. You've really opened my eyes to some things, because initially I thought Gelato, print on demand, I know the whole song and dance, but you guys are really doing something different. And that's exciting, because print on demand is still, I feel, kind of young and early. These are the early days, and so to be making these advancements, in these early days, it's kind of exciting to see where this will grow, and that how this can help not just me, but other people's businesses who are looking to grow and expand and scale at a good pace. So thank you, Alyssa, for sharing all this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thank you for the opportunity. And what we're aiming to do is really, especially with the holidays coming up and people, this is their businesses and this is how they pay bills. We
Yeah.
want to remove that uncertainty, and we want to be a partner on that journey of entrepreneurship that you and so many of your listeners are on. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come and share today.
You are most welcome. And just one more time, if you can tell folks how they can connect directly with you.
hmm Yeah, so my name is Alyssa, Alyssa,
Yeah.
and my email address is Alyssa, Alyssa at gelato, gelato.com. So please feel free to send me an email. Let me know what you think. If you test it out, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm really excited to hear from you.
Thank you, Alyssa. And again, the link to check out Gelato as a whole, go to convome.com/gelato. Again, that's Gelato. And don't forget to use the promo link Etsy Convo when you place your first order to get 50% off your order. And you can check out the products for yourself and see how you like them. And let me know what you think too. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you want to support the podcast, if you've enjoyed this conversation and you want to hear more like this, please consider supporting the podcast. Go to convome.com/support. And I will be back with another episode next week.